What's up, guys? This is Mr. Eldridge, and in today's lesson, we're going to look at the landmark Supreme Court case of Baker versus Carr. The case of Baker versus Carr arose in the state of Tennessee, where legislative districts had not been redrawn since 1901, despite massive population growth and shifts. This meant that rural districts with small populations had the same representation in the state legislature as urban districts with much larger populations. Charles Baker, a resident of Memphis, argued that this was uneven representation, diluting the votes of people living in the more populated areas, violating the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. He filed suit, but lower courts dismissed the case, claiming that issues of legislative apportionment were political questions outside the jurisdiction of the courts. The legal question before the Supreme Court was whether federal courts had the authority to review cases involving legislative redistricting and whether Tennessee's failure to redraw districts violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment. In essence, the court had to decide if this was a legal issue suitable for judicial review under the Marbury case, or purely a political matter that only legislators could resolve. The legal principle in this case, of course, is the Equal Protection Clause, which guarantees that all citizens are entitled to equal protection under the law. The court also had to consider the political question doctrine, which restricts courts from deciding certain disputes that are more appropriately handled by the legislative branch or the executive branch. The key issue was whether malapportionment of districts presented a constitutional violation that courts were obligated to address. With all of this in mind, applying all of these principles, the Supreme Court ruled 6-2 in favor of Baker. Justice William Brennan's majority opinion held that redistricting was not just a political question, but a constitutional one, because unequal representation diluted the weight of some citizens' votes. The court's decision opened the door for federal courts to hear redistricting cases and enforce the principle of one person, one vote. The outcome significantly expanded judicial power and ensured that legislative districts would be more equally drawn to reflect population changes. Hey, thank you so much for paying attention to this video. If you have not subscribed to this channel, go ahead and do that now. Make sure to like this page. Make sure to share this with your friends. We appreciate it. Have a great day.